Well, again, thank you for allowing me to present. I'm a member of this group, and it's the first time I'm presenting, but it's an honor to be here because you folks are people that enjoy doing what you do, and you want to get the most out of what you do, and that's why you come here, and you're willing to share the information. That's what I'm doing today. I'm not an expert on this. I don't think George said an expert.
I think I did.
I'm not an expert. I'm an enthusiast, and let's see if I can get this going. There we go. And today's subject is CarPlay. And it's a newer development in Apple's forte of different products. It is it's just emerging now. And it's one of the few that they don't have a lot of complete control over because you stick it into a car. The car has to have the ability to interact with your phone. And how many people have experienced CarPlay in their cars? Well, oh, that's pretty good. It's going to be easier than I thought. Raise your hands. And so that's going to be a good basis for which we can have a discussion, and that's important here. I'd like to go through some of the formal part of the remarks so that I get through maybe some of the questions will be answered, and then after the initial formal remarks, we'll start getting into where we can get a lot of interaction. So, I love to drive. I love automobiles, and CarPlay is a natural in that respect. And the other comment I want to make is that you're going to learn, or I tried to prepare for this, and I went to Noteboom Tutorial, which is supported by, or encouraged by a club for Wii members to become participants of. There's no CarPlay presentation, so that made it a little tougher, so you got to dig and dig and dig. And there's just not much on it now because it's such a new product. Today I'm going to tell you about what CarPlay is, about why do you want to use CarPlay, about auto navigation, a little bit of a history about that, about CarPlay features, what it costs to get CarPlay, what accessory you need, and what cars have that. And finally, a couple of 3 demonstration videos that I pulled out from the internet, primarily through YouTube, that'll help. I have to follow my notes. This is the first time I'm doing this, and if I were an expert, I could talk freely, but I don't know all the answers. So,
We feel much better if you're on script anyway.
CarPlay is a feature that's baked into iOS. It is not an app. And let me go back to this one. It looks like a logo for an app. It's not an app. You're not going to find that on your iPhone's app or on your iPad app. It's a feature that's baked in, and it's deep. We were just talking about it. It's hard to get to. You really don't even have to get there. All you have to do is connect. Once you connect, it initiates through the car. Cars, the features, the things that CarPlay uses are iMessages, phone calling, voicemail, entertainment type of things, and to me, the biggest one is navigation. And you can control it through Siri. Siri isn't the best voice activation operation, but I like Echo better, but it works, and it works well in the car. The objective of this is to make it easier and safer to run your digital systems inside your car. And why put CarPlay in? The biggest reason is safety. Keep your eyes out of off of your iPhone in the car and on the road. Keep your hands on the wheel and your mind on the objective of driving. There's some slingers here, just a little bit about an article about, but you can pick them up later. So, it's not, I don't want to pass them out.
No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just leave them there. Yeah. And it essentially says that distracted driving is a real problem. And it distracted driving causes 4,000 crashes each day in the United States, or is a contributor to 4,000 crashes in the United States. That's significant. In addition, Wall Street Journal article recently that I read said that about the past dozen years, pedestrian fatalities have gone up 25%. And CarPlay helps you not drive distracted. That's one of the big benefits. Just a little bit about the history of navigation. Does anybody recognize that? That was one of the first. That was Garmin's Street Pilot, and I thought it was spectacular. I was still flying planes for the Navy at the time, and I thought, Jesus, that's as good as it gets. And it was at the time. But it was this portable device. It was pretty heavy. You had to mount it, and you had to manipulate it. There was no remote or anything like that. So you had to put your hands on those things, and to try to enter something in that was very difficult. You had to pull over, but a lot of people don't pull over. That's one of the problems with things like that. And it also was expensive. I think that was about $300. And that's what they cost today. In addition, you can get the GPSs that are built inside the car, and they're pretty good. But everyone has a different set of nomenclature and a different way to enter information, and it is extremely difficult. And every time you change cars, you got to learn that new system. Or if you buy the same manufacturer, just 2 years later, they probably threw out whoever built the software before and put something else in. And it became very frustrating to me. So smartphones came along, and that standardized the process. You could hook to them primarily through Bluetooth, but you still had this little device, and that got mounted either on the grill somewhere, you know, when you're vent grill, or on top of the dash or on the windshield, and wires connected to it, small screen, difficult to manage, and it was very unsafe. But then Apple got into the business of cars, and they were building their own, as a matter of fact, I understood, but they backed out of that, and they were innovating. And Apple is, and if you're not innovating in the technology business, look out, because you're going to get run over very quickly, and you're going to lose. But I've also learned that you're never too old to innovate, what Cook says, or you're never too young, like early on in Apple. It's an ecosystem, and the previous innovations, and some of them have been spectacular with Apple, have been unbelievable what they did, and they combined a bunch of them with the CarPlay. And the first one is this. This is probably the most astounding thing that I have ever run into, and I try to be connected to technology. This is amazing. The iPhone, and what it's done, what I can do. I can get up in the morning when I walk, and I look at the stars, and I can identify every one of them. And that's just, I don't even want to start that. The other thing that happened was, that it was 2007 when the iPhone was initiated. At the same time, Steve Jobs hooked up and got the ability to download music onto the iPhone. And that was a major transition. And those that know the music business, that was really controlled very well. But now you can enjoy it on your car through your iPhone. And that was just spectacular. Siri came along and allowed you to control the iPhone through your car and to enjoy all the other features that are available on it. So, I'm going to transition here, and I've got to switch to my Safari. This will take a second. I'm not quite sure how to. So, this is what the car, at the beginning, this is right off the Apple website. It's live off the Apple website. It's the most current information. And this is what it looks like on your car. These are the apps. Apple puts on the CarPlay feature inside iOS. Those apps that are appropriate for a driver. And they include navigation is the biggest one, your entertainment music, your phone, your messages. This is what's now playing. I think that doesn't hook up, well, at least in one of the cars I have, it doesn't hook up with podcasts. It hooks up with whatever music you're running. Podcast, that's Apple's podcast, and audiobooks. That's the familiar home button. This is the strength of the signal. It really runs off of cell towers, off your telephone, your provider, be it Verizon or whoever you use, AT&T. And these three are the ones that have been used then, and they put them up there. They're like open. All you got to do is press them and they jump right on. They don't have to initiate. How do you control it? Make sure I get this. Control it by pressing a button, or by hitting the display, or by turning. This is turning, and then you push the button. The cars that I have use this, I use this, and I use that, and I use that for running Surrey. This is not the easiest one. That's more difficult. Surrey's the easiest, as long as you know what to say, and it works out very well. This is the one I revert back to as much as possible, is the touch side. Sure, we got everything. And again, the idea is keep your hands on the steering wheel. Talk to Siri, talk through Siri, give it commands, and most of the commands come out of Siri. Now, we were just talking to Eckhart here, and on many cars you have to, when you initiate your car's own voice system, you just press it once, pop it once, and then you're into the Acura's voice system or the Chevrolet voice system. But if you press and hold it down, Siri will open up. And that's one of the benefits when you have CarPlay. The next feature is the Maps feature. And this is great. This thing really works. By the way, here, these are the car capabilities, the car feature, not related to CarPlay. You might have to press one to get into CarPlay if you've gone out of it. And every car has a different way of doing that. I looked at a lot of the videos in preparing for this, and they all have a different set of buttons. So you've got to get in, you can just use it, try it, sit in your driveway or whatever, and play with it. So this is the map system, and I don't want to give into too much detail, but this is the, you want to zoom in on where you're going? I was on my way down here. I live north of here, coming down 75, and all of a sudden I didn't have the destination because I knew where I wanted to go. But I put the destination, and then the red lines came up. There was an accident, a turnover of a truck just north of the beach on 75, and it was on the other side of the road, but rubbernecking slowed it down for about 5 miles. And that was a red line. That's different than this line, which is an orange line that says, you're going to be slowed down there. Those people are running slower than normally that you run in that particular section. And how do they get that information? Does anybody know how they get that information?
From the other GP.
From the other, I think they get it from the other iPhones. Yeah, that's what I think. iPhones are connected to the cellular system, which goes up to a database, and it comes down and says everybody's slowing down there. This is a new feature from iOS 11. These are the lanes, and this is the lane that you're gonna be focused on. They light it up white. The other ones are grayed out. This is spectacular. I drive from the north, and my first leg is 14 hours, and that's within minutes of when I end up 14 hours later. It's unbelievable. There must be more artificial intelligence in this system than I know about. So it's saying here, the time is this, takes you 10 minutes to get there, there's your arrival time, it's 1.6 hours, 1.6 miles. This is the highway that you're on, and yeah, and this is the street that you're on now. You're on 101 North, and you're going to turn off that way. If you want to zoom in on that, I mean, you know, I don't use this very much. This is the volume. Overview is an important one. That's the one I press to get kind of an overview of where I'm going. I want to know that because sometimes GPS is, you're not going to where you think you're going. I always press over to get a feel for it. Yes?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but when you're on this, does it use the speed limit or does it use the speed that people are going? Like on 75, people seem to go 79 and it's 5. So on a long trip, it would make a big difference if it was based it on the speed limit.
Well, I'm not sure, but on many streets right now, just coming down here, right in this section is the speed limit. It's a wonderful thing to have because there's a lot of times that I'm going places that I've never been and I want to know what the speed limit is, and quite frankly looking for the speed signs distracting. It is very good, and it's like within a second of you going by the reduced, let's say it goes from 75 to 65, within a second of that sign being there, it changes on your display.
You mean being ahead of you or being a beam? If
What's
it's
that?
a beam, it wouldn't be any good in Waldo.
Am I what?
In Waldo with the speed.
Oh, Waldo.
Yeah.
Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm 301. Waldo, right. And Stark. And they used to have, AAA used to have signs out there. This is a speed trap. Slow down. And there's another one that crosses, that's the Mountaineer Expressway in West Virginia that has the same issue. Yes, sir.
Comment on the arrival time that the system is estimating. The arrival time is continuously updated from where you are in current location to distance to be traveled.
I don't hear very well. My ears were blown out in the war.
The arrival time that you get on the navigation system
Yeah.
is continuously updated based on the distance to go and your current rate of speed. So as the distance decreases and you're going faster, the arrival time will shorten. So when you're very close, it'll arrive right on time because it's constantly recomputing the time of arrival.
I can imagine that. The gentleman was saying is that there's a give and take, and it keeps speeding up, and it knows how far you're going, and it knows how fast you tend to travel. If you tend to travel just above the speed limit, like 70, within 10%, the police may not stop you, but you're going faster than normal, so it'll adjust the ETA, your arrival time. Okay, make sure I got all I wanted to say here. One of the features about this, and I'm sure you've all used this, but when I'm going on someplace and I'm going to 2 or 3 stops, I get my map system, Apple Maps. By the way, it only works with Apple Maps. It does not work with Google Maps or Waze. Waze, every Uber and Lyft driver I've ever been with uses Waze. It's like a standard. But Apple Maps isn't the best with people who do a lot of driving. But it is for me because I've got a connection, I got CarPlay. And it's the only one. And what I do is I go in there and I pick my place. Just type in the word. I want to go to this store or something. Type it in Naples, pops it up. and then I hit the share button, file share, and it goes right into my phone, so that when I get in the car, plug it in, it just connects automatically, and I got it in my destination. It has about a dozen, at least in my car systems, it's got a dozen of the most previous destinations that you've entered. Yes?
Is there a workaround for Waze? Because I've seen on the internet that people are hacking into this, and, because I use Waze all the time, I'm trying to figure out if I
Yeah.
can.
I was searching that, and I've got a different approach to this. I don't want to hack into my phone. They used to, I remember way back when, they used to do different things with the phone, that get different, and you could, I forgot the term for
Jailbreak.
jailbreak the phone. You could jailbreak the phone. But that does weird things to the operating system that I don't want to deal with. So I know there's a way. I've heard about it for both Google Maps and Waze. Give it a try. And then you can give a presentation on how it works. Because back there.
Is there a way to get a weather radar overlay on the maps?
Seems like everybody in the back is asking a question.
Is there a way to get a weather radar overlay on your navigation?
No,
Especially in the summer.
that's not one of Apple's apps that they connect to CarPlay. No, I mean, somebody else making it for you if they get their own phone number, use different ways. Yes,
So
sir.
this mimic the Uber app?
You don't get Uber on this. You know, it won't work. There's only a few, and I'll show you here shortly. There's only a few that work. Yes?
Hey Wayne, is there a way, you're coming down the road and you see this traffic jam, to say, find an alternate route?
Yeah, I don't initiate that very much, but it can give you, I kind of analyzed this, and I saw that long red line. But it turns out that it was two red lines, one going this way, one this way. Once you got by it, it was the backup on the other side, because I zoomed in and saw that it was both sides that were slowed down, and that must have been a site. And it happened to be on the other side of the road. It didn't affect our lane, but it was an extra 10 minutes because rubbernecking. But I don't know. There is ways to get alternate routes. When you put it in initially, it gives you alternate routes right away.
Yes.
And some of them are weird, I don't know why, but you gotta get around some. Yes?
Apparently, the person who set up my CarPlay didn't know that Google Maps are not accepted.
Yeah.
What Apple app for maps does that accept? What,
Apple Maps.
it's just Apple Maps?
That's it, right.
Because I've got everyone except that one, I think.
And my sense is,
I do.
I don't know,
All right.
up on top there's a bar, and I think when you initially put something in, and it shows what options you have, the typical things. Where's a gas station? Where's a hotel? Where's a supermarket? Where's a restaurant? And I think Apple does well with having those
I do
connections.
get it, I'm sorry, I
Right.
just didn't know.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on the map side? The phone is very easy to use, this is pretty straightforward stuff, and that's the end button, I just press it when I'm finished with the call, works. Mute if you want to discuss something, and not, or I use that occasionally, because I'm going through a big transition, just hold on and let me get through this, it takes a half a minute to get through that transition while I'm making a loop around or something like that. The keypad, and adding a call is, I'm surprised they have that on there. That's like when you want a conference call with somebody else, which is very nice in that, but that's not the best thing to do when you're going 77 miles. 75. That's who you're talking to, and the typical stuff over here. Make sure I got my comments. Yep, that's done. Messaging.
Wayne, on the phone, if you have, if a call is coming in and they're in your contact list, like the handout or the,
Yep.
you just have on the screen, it'll show the name, not just the phone number. So if they're in your contacts list, if he's
Oh,
on the
yeah,
contacts
right,
list,
you know,
you'll
yeah, if it's in the
who it is.
that's why Bob Wilson was up there, because he was one of your contacts, and that's how Apple CarPlay knew to put it in there, how your phone do it, and it displays that.
Okay, and the way you're answering the call is hitting the button on the steering wheel?
No, I think it automatically connects. I don't really, oh, wait a minute, I think I pressed something, it's a green button before the red button. It's a green button.
It's on the
Yeah.
screen, you press, you can accept on the screen.
You know, Apple doesn't give you a bunch of instruction books or anything like that, because it changes so quickly, so fast. These are not even the most current displays for a couple of reasons. They change them so fast they can't even keep up on their own website, let alone some of these, a couple of the demos that I'll show you. Yes, sir.
They have a magnetic device that you can put on top of the section in the corner near the window. Is that magnetic device safe for the iPhone?
That's an iPhone question. I've heard a little bit about that. And I don't know, does anybody have any comment about, you put a magnet on the back of your iPhone or a metal, and then you stick,
I have got through Amazon a little disc that has a prong on it that fits on my ventilator.
yeah.
And then you put in your case a sheet of metal that comes with it. It'll just stick on the back of your phone. It's inside the case. You don't even notice it, but it'll stick to that, and the phone works fine.
Well, the gentleman's question is, does it affect the performance of the phone?
No, the phone works fine.
Yeah. That could be the issue.
Yeah.
Right. Good. This is my wife's favorite feature, is the iMessage. She does a lot of texting, and they do it very safely. I've got a demo in there about how it works, but it essentially says, that's what you see. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything, that pops up. Maybe it announces it. I can't remember. But if you want to interact, you highlight it if you got the twisting, or I touch it. And then it says, you got a message from Blair Lockhart. I think it says, you want me to read it to you? Yes. And it reads it over the speakers. And then you say, it says, do you want to respond? Yes. What do you want to say? I'll be there in 10 minutes. And it repeats it. Your message says, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Do you want to send it? And you can tell Siri yes, or there's a send button there, and it's very safe and simple. It's about as safe as you can be. Now there's a lady back there, or someone back there who had their hand up.
I just love to see the safety feature. That to me completely defeats the thou shalt not text, or be involved with text messaging while you're driving. And
Who said that?
The law,
The law?
the law. In terms of, you opened the conversation with the number of accidents that happen because people are texting. People are looking at the phone. You're now describing a feature which absolutely violates that premise.
No,
I'm just interested in seeing how it works.
I just drove to Tampa and I never used the iMessage before. And so I said I wanted to text my sister, and it was all verbal. It was like talking on the phone. I mean, talking through the speaker, not holding it or that. You don't have to look at anything. It says it's all verbal.
One of the things I should have mentioned is,
Yeah, it was amazing.
when Apple designed this, they didn't want you to look at your phone at all. And essentially, the phone went blank, at least at the initial ones. It's a little different now, but it went blank. So you couldn't get into anything. You couldn't get on your phone and text message once you had that connected. And that's what the design was. You don't even have to, you could do this all from your steering wheel, looking straight ahead, never take one of your hands off. And that's the benefit of CarPlay. Yes, sir.
Will this Bluetooth to both your and your wife's phone so that if a
Yes.
message comes into either one?
Now, I think there's I can't, I did this so long ago, initial pairing, that it does do both. It Bluetooths. It used to be that it was only connected through a cable. It was a lightning cable, USB-A on the one end goes into the car. There was, on the cars that I had, you had to go into one of the two slots and it had the phone connection silhouette. And they said, that's the one to use for CarPlay. And you connect to that. And that's how you got connected. And you could not connect through Bluetooth. But now there's more and more wireless connections. In fact, I looked at a car just recently, and there's a couple of them. I think the Acura and the Volvo. You connect Bluetooth to CarPlay, and it's got a wireless charger in it. You lay it right underneath on the pad. So they're thinking ahead. And every Volvo, and there are a number of them. We'll get into that next.
Can you pair it with your Bluetooth hearing aids?
Can you what?
Pair it with your Bluetooth hearing aids.
I have Bluetooth hearing aids, and I prefer not to do that. I think you can.
Yes,
Right.
you can, but I have problems sometimes with switches back and forth.
Yeah. And that's the worst thing to do when you're trying to drive it. You got these problems now. What caused that? I gotta get on the phone and say, forget it. Yes, sir.
If you have two people in the car and you have two phones paired, can you only use one at a time, the one that you set, or what? If you get a call coming in
Yeah.
and you have two phones, can you they're both paired, but only one is active at a time, correct or not?
I think you can only pair one phone with
Yeah.
CarPlay at a time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about here. I'm not sure about your car, and
I think you're right. I think that's the
Yeah.
way mine is,
Yeah.
that's why.
I think they want to do that. Make sure I got all these. Okay, we talked about the update on the music. It's especially for a long drive or a regular commute, you got 30 to an hour. Maybe in New York City, it's an hour and 15 minutes in LA. It's nice to have this, and I know that's what Apple wants to sell, is the music. I just noticed that Spotify, which has their app on here, yesterday was the 8th largest technical initial public offering ever, and they valued it like $26 billion. Spotify, and you'll see the logo here, which is another ad source. Here they are. So this is what Apple has on their current website, and I know there's some more on this. In fact, there's probably some that shouldn't be around anymore. I tried like heck to get on the Clamor, but I couldn't figure that one out. But here's Spotify, a very wealthy company right now, as of yesterday. And that Spotify is music. This is a new one, WhatsApp. I think that's a messaging system that came out recently. When it first came out, there was only like 3 or 4 out there, but now they've got a bunch. The big competitor, Amazon Music, is there, and we that are Prime members get that for free. This one's, you can have one on one car, and then you could, whatever car you're using, you can hook up and you can get Sirius XM on the car. Audiobooks, podcasts, that's Apple's podcast. I use this one, and then there's Downcast here. And I like to listen to technical podcasts when I'm on a longer trip. Pandora, one of the old names. And if you want to listen to the news, these are radio-oriented. That one's radio and podcast. This is a a very fast spreading radio app service. You want to listen to your baseball teams? Any questions on those?
Yeah, how do you get these apps to your, are they all available?
They're all available, and you can put them on your CarPlay. They'll pop up, and you can say, I don't want that on here. And you could manipulate that on your iPhone.
I just found that WhatsApp app that you showed on my car.
Oh, it showed up. Well, you
showed
can
up.
eliminate it.
Incidentally, it's a very popular
Yes.
app, like Skype, used in Europe.
Oh.
Most Europeans talk and have video conferences and messages through WhatsApp, so it's an extremely popular European app, and that's probably why Apple decided to make it part of the, it's not very well known in the United States.
No, you can talk, you can phone
Yeah.
all over the world for free.
For free, yeah.
So this is Apple's website. Oh, there we go. And you can see the cars. This is a world product, so there are names that we're not familiar with. I don't know what that car is, but not sure what that is. But these are cars from all over the world. And when it first came out, the first time CarPlay was initiated was, actually I didn't mention it. CarPlay was announced at 2013 WDC, World Development Conference, that Apple runs. But they just announced that they were going to do this. It didn't hit until, with multiple cars, I think one car had the 15. It was some small little thing. And in 16, the model year 16, which comes out like late August of the previous year, that's when they started. So it's been 16, 17, and 18 that we've seen these cars. And the list has been growing enormously every year.
Are there upgrades for 15 cars?
I'm going to get into that shortly. Right. But the other thing is, I wanted to show you here. These are the models of each of the cars. You can see the longer the list, the more effect. In fact, you could get this on your own on the website. Audi is big. Audi is owned by VW, and VW also owns Porsche. And they're very well connected. BMW has taken on the CarPlay concept, as well as many of the GM. GM came in right away, Ford came in a year later, and VW was by far the most active of them all. And here you can see many models for. But if you buy a used car, a 2016 or 17, and it's got CarPlay, it's in. All you do is connect it, and you're connected. It's very simple. I don't have any of these, whatever they are. Ford has gotten stronger in the past year to 2 years. It's called Sync. They're on Sync 3. One of the delightful things, as I mentioned, I plugged in, I rented a Taurus, and I plugged it in, and all my stuff came up. But I did, one of the issues was we were talking about earlier is, it did download my contacts. And I said, that's the first time I ever did a rental. I said, my God, I better dump that. And of course, when you're at the place where you're going to, at the airport, getting a car, how do you go through dumping whatever you download it? So they got it. Man, they don't care. A lot here, you can see all the names, all the numbers, all the models. VW, there's a big list right there. And there's Volvo that I was talking about. So that's CarPlay. There was one other thing. Where did it go?
Honda has it on its motorcycle, not in the car.
in regard to your question, there are, who asked the question about if you don't have it?
Yeah, I have a 15 car, which does not have it.
Right.
Are there upgrades?
There
Those
are,
cars, I don't mean upgrades.
there's an aftermarket capabilities. And I know Alpine, Pioneer, Kenwood, Sony are in the, I have that. Well, it was on this side. But they do have that capability. It's anywhere from, just for the equipment, is $300 to $1,200 plus the installation. And if you like what you got.
So it's not the car manufacturers, it's the,
Yeah, it's an aftermarket thing.
yeah.
But they've become very proficient, I understand, at just popping out the other device and putting these things in. It's a pretty standard connection, this Apple CarPlay connection. And almost always they're connected with Android Auto also. The car manufacturers are putting in the chips that work both CarPlay and Android Auto.
What is that?
Who does it?
What is Android Auto?
Android Auto, I think, is the Google counterpart.
Of the same.
And when you have a phone that's using that operating system, you get Android Auto.
I got you.
Right, but I noticed that CarPlay is much has taken off, just like this morning's journal. Yeah. Apple Pay is way over Android Pay, like 55% to 10%. Yes, sir.
I've got a lot of hardware questions. Toyota finally announced they were going to do CarPlay, and at the end of the announcement, they said that they would retrofit the cars. What you're talking about is adding that they were going to do it with the Toyota guts.
Yeah.
And so, which is, I think, very true, what you say about changing cars. That's the way I've changed in my motorhome. And all I got to do is pull the radio out and put another one in.
Yeah.
But my question is that that looked like a double dim, the two widths there on the dash for the radio. You can't, if you have two cars, you can only run this in one car, right?
If you have two cars and they're equipped with CarPlay, you just take your phone from one to the
Both
other.
of them have CarPlay. How much is that upgrade to get CarPlay?
You don't. It's not an upgrade. If you have the ability to have.
No, but when you buy a car,
Oh, how much?
yes.
I'll show you that. That's right. That's the next thing on the list, actually. Oh, by the way, iPhone 5 or greater is what works with CarPlay. iPhone 5 or greater. And it does not work with iPad. It only works with iPhone. It's an iOS item only available through iPhone. Can't use they don't want you looking at a big screen and navigating that. They want you to use the equipment's design. Now I gotta switch back here. That is a trick. Is that big enough? It's as big as it's gonna get. So this is, I went to a dealership that took a picture of a sticker, window sticker. This is a 18 Mercedes, small one. I have a car like this, it's a 16. It had one of the first CarPlay things. And here it is, this is what you're buying, optional equipment. Their number is 868, smartphone integration package. And that's what you see on a lot of them now. It's just this integration package. Android Auto and CarPlay. How much does it cost? $350. And that's it. You buy it once, and I remember in the old days, I had an Audi, and I had to get the disc updated because it's enormously frustrating when everybody's turning this way onto a road that doesn't usually show by your GPS system. Cheaper, better, faster.
So those updates are no longer necessary?
They update the iPhone.
Okay.
Whatever the iPhone is, what they update, you know, whenever you get those, you know, those weekly or every 2 weeks updates, often they're updating, then you can look in the details and it says we're updating the maps. It's always been a fixed price up until beginning of this year, where BMW announced for next year, the 2019 series at the Detroit Auto Show this year, they said, we're going to charge annually for CarPlay and Android Auto. And this writer, I just did the caption of the article, I didn't want to put the article up. But on further review, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because they're going to charge $80 a year. You saw it was $350. Oh, by the way, my 2016, I looked it up just before I came here, $350, the exact same amount. So they haven't increased it. This was $80 a year they're going to charge. But that's not until year 2. First year is free. And if you keep a car for 3 years, 4 years, you're paying 3 times $80, $240 versus the $350. And then maybe the break-even point is 5 years. And I sometimes trade cars when the tires get low. So
That's like
wouldn't be
Jerry.
any problem with me. I'll pay.
Jerry does the same thing.
Yes, my 2010 Mercury, I had to replace the tire, so I'm looking for a new car.
Oh, I'm talking about the air in the tire. Not the tires. It's my wife. So, let's see, we got the cost, we got that one done. Now I'm gonna, any other questions? I just want to show a couple of 2-3 minute videos on how it works and how it's set up. Any other questions about CarPlay in general? All right.
I have one way. Where do you put your iPhone when in the car?
Well, the Volvo, it has this slot, and it's charging it. You don't connect it.
Okay.
It's a Bluetooth connection, it's a wireless connection, and you just set it in this underneath thing. It's designed for you not to look at it.
Okay.
And it's being charged while it's sitting there, because it's really part of the CarPlay system, and that's what you're focusing
Well, I
on.
think you can keep it in your pocket too, can't you?
What are they, what?
You can keep it in your pocket too, can't you?
If you got wireless, yes, you can keep it in your pocket. In fact, at one point they were saying, hook it up to the back seat, Mark, and don't even look at it. And that's what distracted driving. 4,000 crashes a day have distracted driving part of the formula. I mean, I can't tell you the number of accidents that I've seen where someone drove smack into the back end of another car. And what do you think was happening? They certainly weren't like this. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we drove up to Barbara Mann a couple of weeks ago, and my wife was looking out at the other cars we were passing, and I'll bet there were 20. She said, yeah, that guy's on his phone,
Right.
on his phone, texting or whatever. Yeah, it is dangerous.
Long time I jogged, and then I had a bike, and I said, I'm not going to be on the side of the road much anymore, because it's too easy for someone to be, just drift off a little bit. And,
We have a question right here.
I
Yes,
would
ma'am.
like to know, if you don't put it on a charger, why do you use it?
if you're not charging it,
Yeah, how fast it, the battery goes.
I've never had one go down, but I always plug it in. It is charging automatically. Whenever the CarPlay, you have to use a certified lightning connecting cable. You get something off of Amazon that you pay $3 for, it may not work. And it might not connect all the way. But if you get a certified one, you're in good shape, and it's charging all the time. Okay. So we're going to make another transition here. So it's going to get loud in a second, I think, and this is kind of a setup one that's a little over 3 minutes, and it talks about setting up a Silverado truck. But it's really good because it kind of gives you the flavor for how you set it up. I got 2 short ones after that. The dealers put these things out.
17 Chevrolet Silverado is the ability to be able to connect both Android Auto and, as I'm going to demonstrate in this video, Apple CarPlay.
So you're saying he does Android Auto or Apple CarPlay?
Notice this projection icon. That's the icon you're going to want to pay attention to when setting up your phone for Apple CarPlay. Setting up your iPhone for Apple CarPlay is easy. You're going to use the lightning port cable that came with your phone. Once inserted into the phone, you'll notice a blue bar on the top. And your phone will say Apple CarPlay. Yep.
That's the only time you ever see that Apple CarPlay logo. By the way, it goes away.
Also notice that this tile icon now says Apple CarPlay, and then the Bluetooth is disconnected. When using Apple CarPlay, it's very similar to using the Chevrolet MyLink. However, the experience is much like that of any Apple device. You'll notice that the layout and icons are very similar. You have a home button, you have your signal strength, of the time, and then you have the layout of your phone, music, maps, messages, what's playing now, if you have podcasts saved on your phone, audiobooks, and other related media. One of my personal favorites when using Apple CarPlay in the 2017 Chevrolet Silverado is while you're driving, you can summon Siri to get directions to just about anywhere. For this example, I'm going to push the voice command button that's located on the steering wheel. Find the nearest Starbucks coffee.
The nearest one I found is Starbucks on Health Drive Southwest. Let me know if you want more information.
With one touch of a button and one single voice command, you can find the Starbucks nearest you. If I want to go here, I just hit go.
By the way, all of these demos are from Michigan, Detroit area. You know why?
One thing that you'll notice is that any of the apps, such as Maps, when they're open, their icons will be stored over here. So if you want to get out of one app and be able to go back to, let's say, your music, you can see what's playing here, but instead of just hitting back button, I can go right to here and it'll take me to the destination that I was going to. This is handy if you're traveling and you need to bounce between different things such as maybe the radio and also GPS. Another great thing about using Apple Maps is that other destinations that you may have used before in the past are going to be stored because it's pulling it from your phone. Driving while staying connected is great using Apple CarPlay. If you receive a text message, you'll simply see the message right here. You don't have to even respond to it, but you know at least that you have.
That's one that doesn't have a contact person, so it's just a phone number.
A message. When you have time, though, you can select the message.
You have a message from someone with a 616 area code. Thank you for the email. I'll get right on it out. Want to reply?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No problem. I'll send you another email when I get to the office.
Okay, it says. No problem, I'll send you another email when I get to the office. Ready to send it?
Yes.
I'll send your message.
What I'd like...
Never touch this screen. Hands-free on the steering wheel.
About that is that you can make corrections in real time with sending a text message and using Siri. It's just like using your phone, except for you're not being taken away or distracted by what's going on here. I hope you appreciate this video. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.
Okay. Any questions about that? Yes,
They seem to indicate that you have to go back and forth between music and maps. If you're on maps, can you have music playing until the next turn?
Well, on the left-hand side of that display, they had things that have been opened up but are not on the screen. That you can just touch that.
So it's just what's on the screen.
Yeah.
So if you...
Or there was a back touch there too. You can either highlight and press on that one, or you just touch it on the screen.
But specifically, if I'm in a Maps program,
Yeah.
but I want to be listening to music and then have the maps kick in at the next turn, you can do that.
I do that all the time. I just keep the maps on, whatever I want to listen to, I set up, and then I can hit the maps back. That's so I know that if I know there's a problem ahead.
Thank you.
All right, now let's see. We'll get into the next one here.
One more question.
Sure.
You said for a couple of things it shows up. Is there a way, an option to make it a ding dong or some other sound that tells you that something showed up there? Or do you have to go once in a while?
I think it announces a message. I think it announces, yeah. Or it also pops up right there. You'll see it at the top there. There won't be any issue about notification.
Happens every time. You spend quality time with friends.
This one's Volkswagen about messaging.
Enjoying their company and news. Then you get in your car and begin to drive away, and incoming texts light up your phone. But you're driving, and you can't read the incoming message. You don't need to stop and look at your phone with the App Connect system on your Volkswagen. With your compatible iPhone connected and Apple CarPlay active, you can manage your text messages using natural language commands and Apple's digital assistant Siri. To listen to a text message, press the text message icon. Siri will tell you that you have a new message, tell you who it is from, and then read you the message. Afterwards, Siri asks if you'd like to reply. Say yes. After a moment, Siri will say, "Okay, what do you want me to say to the name of the person that texted you?" After the beep, dictate your message. Siri will repeat your message back to you and then ask if you're ready to send it. You can also send a new message by pressing and holding the talk button until Siri responds. Then say "Send message" and the name of the person you wish to send a message to. Siri will ask what you'd like to say. Say your message. Siri repeats the message back to you and asks if you'd like to send it. Say yes to send your message. Apple CarPlay allows you to respond to your friends and family's messages without ever taking your eyes off the road.
Any questions about that? I got one more here. This one's about
Us depend on our Apple
navigation.
iPhones to help us where we want to go or find food and services that we want. With Apple CarPlay, that functionality can be accessed in your Volkswagen. With your compatible iPhone connected through CarNet App Connect and with Apple CarPlay active, a long press and hold on the talk button brings you Siri. Or you can do a long press.
By the way, I want to mention that that's like a digital manual of your car, user manual of your car. So that, let's say you're getting you can't find the manual, you keep it home, it's really thick. You get into that, it'll explain a lot of things, so you can operate that with the car's voice system.
The white home button on the infotainment unit screen. Tell Siri where you want to drive to. For example, you can say directions to or take me to and the address in which you wish to go. Siri responds, telling you that she is getting directions to the address that you entered. Select Go and your route begins. You can also use the plus or minus icons to zoom in or zoom out of the map. You can also search for points of interest. Just press the talk button on the steering wheel until you hear the beep, and tell Siri where you want to go. Siri will provide you with potential locations and ask you if you need more information. Navigation begins once you've made your selection. Apple CarPlay allows you.
Oh, I missed it. There was a red line there. That's where traffic was very slow. There's orange lines where it's slowed down, but the red lines mean it's very slow.
Access the familiar navigation feature tools on your iPhone.
Wayne, does it only work if you're nice and talk sweet to the other person in the car?
Okay.
Wayne, a question. What if you don't have a touch screen?
Yeah, then you have to have that knob. It's either one or the other. Plus Surrey. Surrey is always available.
Yeah.
But it's either the touch screen. One of my cars has a touch screen. The other car does not have a touch screen. I much prefer the touch screen.
It's usually on the steering wheel also.
What's that?
You can usually get the Siri through your steering wheel.
Steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, or one of the cars, it's on a stem and you press it, but it's always got that person's face and a voice projecting every time. It's like a standard. There is one other thing I want to put up here if I can. Let's see. Let's do this. That's you, and I want to thank the officers and the directors of this organization, because it's a wonderful organization. It's really special. There are very few like this in the country. That this NMUG is an active group that really participates, and I thank them for doing what they do, and thank you for listening. And there